Hey, good morning, everybody. I am so glad to see you here this morning. I decided to try out my headphones because they give a little bit better sound. I don't sound so sharp. The audio on a computer isn't always the best. So, anyways, thanks for being here. I'm Rita Hickman. I'm a body mind expert and a shiatsu massage therapist. But what I do is I use all those great skills to help women deal with narcissistic and toxic relationships. I help them get back in touch with their body, get back in touch with themselves, with a bigger universe, with a bigger understanding of who they are, with developing the skills and the felt sense of respect and self love. And I really help women not go down the negative path of whose fault it is and who's to blame, but instead looking at how can we raise ourselves up? How can we do the things that make us feel good? And oddly enough, when we do the things which make us feel good, we evolve as a person. So, and our life gets better and smoother and easier. So it's the most graceful way I know to be successful, which is to um, really enjoy your life and figure out the things that get in the way of you enjoying your life. So today we're talking about responsibility. This is a little bit of a soapbox for me because one of the coping mechanisms of when you're small and helpless and a kid is that you take responsibility for yourself and for everything around you. It's a funny little quirky coping mechanism that when you take responsibility for absolutely everything going on to you, you have a sense of safety. It gives you a sense of security because you aren't dependent upon anybody else. You aren't dependent upon somebody being in a good mood. You aren't dependent upon everything going well. Instead, you take 100% responsibility, and what can you do about it? That's a great mindset in moderation. The problem is most women who are in narcissistic and toxic relationships weren't taught that belief in moderation. They weren't taught that you aren't 100% responsible for everything in the world, everything going on in the world, everything going on in life. And when I started on my healing journey, which sort of officially that actually started when I was much younger, probably in high school is when I started that healing journey after junior high, which was a really tough time for me. I really started to move forward in high school. And I got involved in many different personal development and personal growth sorts of things. The problem is most of these were run by men, especially at the time. This was a few decades ago. Most of the personal growth things were run by men. And what they were pushing was responsibility, being nice to everybody, caring about people, stop being so much in your ego, and, which was great. And then I, went deeper into things, and it was the same message, but it was still run by men. But it was the same message that was, you just need to be kinder. You just need to be more compassionate. You just need to be more understanding. You need to be more flexible. You need to give more. You need to take 100% responsibility for everything because that's the only way forward. These messages are great for people who weren't taught or didn't feel the need to feel responsible for everybody, which kind of puts empaths and codependents in a funny little category, because we are the people that already take responsibility for everybody. We're the ones who are already doing the things that that compensate or cope or enable or help people move along. We already take that responsibility off of people, and about how we are 100% responsible for our destiny and for our world and for our life. You know what? And that's a recipe for anxiety. That's a recipe for constantly feeling as if you're not good enough, as if you'll never be good enough, because your ego mind does know, it absolutely does know that you aren't capable to the challenge of holding up this house of cards that reality is, that life is. You know what? I want you to take a pause for a second. Pause and let's look at a very big picture. So let's start out, far away. We're living in this universe, which is expanding and contracting, which has all of these moving parts of which we have no control over. We have no control over that. We can't, directly, powerfully right this moment with, the capacity that we have and the skills that we have, let's say, make planets change their trajectory. So there's a lot of stuff we aren't responsible for. We aren't responsible for that. You know what? We're not responsible for the DNA that was passed down. We're not responsible for the complexity of life. Do you know how many things? So I had this great mentor, and my mentor would say, the fact that we're all here, so the fact that you're here listening to this video, watching this live stream, the fact that you're here doing this is better, more extravagant, gigantic odds than winning the lottery. You being here right now listening to me is bigger, so much bigger than winning the biggest lottery that you can ever imagine. There are a lot of moving parts for you to be here. Somebody had to create my headphones and my computer and figure out Wi-Fi. And then, then we've got life and the relationships that we have and the people in our life and how we're going to support ourselves. Now, law of attraction, says that, well, you attracted into your life. So clearly this is something that you need. You know what? Let's pause for a second. Yes, you did attract this into your life. Absolutely. Are you responsible for it? Is it your fault? Did you cause it? Did you make this happen? No. Do you necessarily have to change it, have to fix it? Okay, here's a thought for you. So we are made up of, as human beings, we're made up of billions of consciousnesses. All the bacteria in our gut, our cells, how they function, mitochondria, all of it. They all have their own level of consciousness. And these consciousnesses all brought together and working in synergy create us as a person. Isn't it possible to consider that all of the moving parts and pieces, the trees and the glass and the windows and the computer and my glasses and all of that, they're all parts of a bigger consciousness, of a communal consciousness, let's say. They're all coming together to work in a bigger way. For you to take responsibility for all of these other consciousnesses, for you to say it's your fault, for you to even, as an empath and a compassionate person, you're probably the first person to blame yourself. So this message is directly for you. It's not for everybody. This is for you. You are not responsible for everything that happens to you. You are not responsible even for many parts and pieces of you that happen. Many things that happen. If you didn't ask for all of your health issues, can you do something about them? Yes. Can you fix them? Not necessarily. Not necessarily. Can you influence them? Yes. Is there something wrong with you? No. We are, we're a conglomeration. We're a part of a much bigger tapestry. We're part of a bigger breathing consciousness. And because of that, we are somewhat responsible, of course, but we are not 100% responsible for ourselves and everything that happens to us and everything that we achieve and everything that goes on in the world. It's good to take responsibility, but us empaths, compassionate people, we tend to take all the responsibility. And this is a problem. And narcissists, they capitalize on that. If you're willing to take responsibility for me, great. I feel so much better. If you're willing to take responsibility for what happens to me and how I act and how I behave and what I think, awesome. Great. That's what narcissists are thinking. Because you aren't seeing the bigger reality. You are still running off of that belief that somehow you have tremendous power. Don't get me wrong. But you know what? You're doing exactly what you need to be doing in exactly the time that you need to be doing it, in exactly the way that you need to be doing it, because this is bigger than you. There's a flow that happens. There's a flow. There's a thing. It's like looking at someone, let's say Ted Bundy. I was thinking about Ted Bundy this morning, and I don't know all the emotional triggers. I'm sure there's so much trauma and so many emotional triggers around something like that. But let's look at it just from a few steps back. Was Ted Bundy completely responsible for everything that he thought and everything that he felt and everything that, how he was wired? He was kind of a byproduct of a lot of things. Could he have made better choices or gotten help or gotten? Absolutely. But who he was and how he worked was not completely 100% totally his responsibility. Things go smoother when you take responsibility. Hence why as a kid, I took responsibility for everything because now I had power and control and I could do something about it. I could affect a change in some way. So it was good for me to feel like I was 100% responsible for every moving part in the universe, because it made me feel more safe and more secure. But you start to evolve and realize that you are part of something bigger. You are part of something way bigger than you. And you do your part. You watch the flow. You listen to your intuition. You quiet yourself. You heal your wounds and the beliefs and the ideas, like the one that you're 100% responsible for everyone and everything in your life, including what everybody tells you you're responsible for. This is your fault. You're responsible for this. People love saying things like that. But in reality, they aren't responsible for it either. They aren't responsible for the sun coming up. They aren't responsible for things that fail. They aren't responsible for other people's issues. They aren't responsible even for, for their own challenges that they struggle with. It happened. And then the question is, now what? They are the way that they are. And the question is, now what? It's not who's to blame. It's not who's responsible. And it's not about taking 100% responsibility for anybody else. That doesn't really work very well, because that just continues the situation. Everybody's got their lessons to learn. Narcissists, empaths, passionate people, codependents, successful people, failures, addicts, whatever it may be, bipolar. We all have our own path to walk, our own journey to walk along, our own things that we need to work on. But are we responsible for everything? No. And I know that sounds ridiculous because it's not conscious. We end up having a sense of anxiety or a sense of depression or a sense of overwhelm because that silent, deep belief, well, you're not good enough. But damn straight, you're not good enough, because it's not all about you. You're not supposed to be good enough. You're not supposed to be king of the mountain. You're not supposed to be the most amazing, fabulous human being in the world. You're not supposed to be perfect. You can't be. You are part of a much larger tapestry, part of a much bigger universe that's happening. So breathe, relax, realize that some things just are. They just are. And then you decide what you want to do with it, what you want to do with the information, what you want to do with the experience, what you want to do with yourself, and the next step that you want to take. As with most 12-step programs, there's the Serenity Prayer, which is one of my favorite prayers, which is help me accept the things that I cannot change the things that I can, and have the wisdom to know the difference. So the serenity to accept the things I cannot change. The I don't know it exactly because it's in my heart. Because it's in my heart. It's that acceptance of that knowing and that knowledge that there's a lot we can't change. There's some things we can, and we need to be wise enough to know the difference. That's the lesson for today. Okay. If you're feeling anxious, if you're feeling depressed, it's probably because you're feeling responsible for something. And if you're feeling responsible, take a breath, take the weight off your shoulders, and realize you are part of something so much bigger than you. Okay? So if you're feeling stuck, if you're feeling trapped, let me know. The best way to get to me is rhickman@inspiremassage.com. If you send me an email, then I will be able to, set something up to figure out where you want to go, what we can do to help. Lots of resources available, from a whole free library, searchable, to the most amazing healing process, possible, which is community, positive, safe, healthy community. Oh, is that powerful? And then add on the extra bit of, I do one-to-one work with people, so you can go deep into what's going on. You don't have to do this by yourself anymore, and you're not supposed to, because you're not alone. You're part of something so much bigger. Okay? So if you're trapped, if you're stuck, reach out. Let's get you moving in a direction that works really well for you. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I'll talk to you later, okay? Bye.